everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys my full coverage drugstore foundation routine. I do share some tips and tricks along the way, some of my favorite tools to apply it, some different ways that I do it, my products that I'm really loving at the moment and highly recommend to you guys. This is my full coverage foundation routine. So if you guys want to know the products that I used and how I got this full coverage look, then just keep watching. Alright guys, so what I'm going to start off by doing first is priming my face, and a primer that I have been loving. I picked it up at Ulta. It is by Soap & Glory, and it is the One Heck of a Blot Instant Perfecting Power Primer. This has literally just been my go-to primer. I think it's amazing for my oily skin, and it just does a really good job at helping to mattify my face, fill in my pores, but not make my face feel like super dry or tight. It actually has a very cooling feeling when it goes onto the skin. So I just focus this really on my T-zone, so in the center of my face, my nose, and my forehead. Foundation that I have just absolutely been loving. It's been my go-to foundation. Every single time that I wear makeup, this is literally the foundation that I want to wear no matter what. And it is by LA Girl, the Pro Matte High Definition Long Wearing Makeup, and this is in the color medium beige. I'm gonna go ahead and shake it up a little bit. I do have like a full review, demo, wear test, and everything up on my channel on this foundation. If you guys are interested in that, I will link it down below. But this foundation just gives me such good coverage, super long wearing on my skin, does amazing with my oily skin. And for my sponge, this is also a sponge that I have just been loving. This is by Sonia Kashuk. I recently also did a video on, it was like a sponge set that I picked up from Target. But this sponge is, oh my gosh, so good. I just, like, you could even see it through the camera how squishy it is. And it just is amazing. I love it for my powders, for my liquid foundation, my concealer, everything. I'm just using the flat surface just to build up this foundation. As you can tell, it has really good coverage. I do have oily skin. This foundation does dry down to a matte finish. I would say it's more of a natural matte finish rather than like a super powdered finish, but definitely doesn't leave like any luminosity or glow or nothing on my skin, which I'm totally okay with because I have oily skin. So I'd rather add the glow back into my skin myself by using like a highlighter or something like that. Another good thing about this foundation is that it is buildable, and it just builds so well on top of each other. It does not look heavy or cakey whatsoever. So I just do a little bit on my sponge, and then I tap it right back in with my sponge. I feel like with the two even layers that I did on my skin, I really got that full coverage that I wanted. And my skin just looks really nice and smooth, and now I have a very nice base just to work with. So that is for foundation. This foundation just blends out so easily, smooth, just blends out super fast. That was supposed to be a snap. It just blends out super fast in no time at all. So now for drugstore concealers, three of them. I want to share three of them that I've been into recently. The first one that I've been into longer than both of the other two. This one is by Maybelline. This is the Instant Age Rewind Concealer. The second one is by Catrice Cosmetics, and this is the Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer. And the most recent one that I've been trying out is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. But for today's video, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Instant Age Rewind because I really like the color of this. And this is definitely a lighter formula of a concealer. So what I'll do is actually focus this in like my inner corner because it is a tiny bit light for me. And I'll just put a little bit down my nose. But I'll focus this in my inner corner because it is more of a lighter formula. And then what I'll do is with my Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer, which I really love this concealer, I would just kind of blend this on top of that. So I really like to mix these two. Of course you don't have to. You could just use one or the other by itself. Really see how easily both of these concealers together blend out. I just love it when a product just blends out so easily. and literally takes like no time at all, because these are products that you can use like on a day-to-day basis when you're on the go. All of this into my skin with my sponge. I would just take one side of it and just really push everything into my skin, making sure everything is just really melting together, everything is becoming one, nothing looks heavy or cakey. So that's what this sponge is really good for too. Moving on, this is one of probably my favorite products because I recently discovered it at Sally's Beauty Supply. I was there picking up some stuff for her hair, and I seen this and I thought I would try it because I've heard some stuff about this brand Collab. It's different YouTubers, I guess, on YouTube, beauty gurus, I guess you could say, that collaborated to come up with this line at Sally's Beauty. So this is the Set the Stage Ultra Fine Loose Setting Powder, and I got the lightest color, Porcelain Ivory. The reason why I got the light setting powder is because I use this for baking and for setting my skin, foundation, everything, and I'm telling you guys, this is a flawless powder. I probably don't see myself repurchasing the Laura Mercier translucent powder because this stuff is that good. So I've been using it pretty much every single time I do my makeup. I have an extra Cover FX Perfecting setting powder, and I have not even used that because I use this setting powder. It's just that good, and it's not like super inexpensive. I believe it was about $15. But so what I'm doing right now is I'm just blending out any slight creases under my eye. Something about these two concealers is that you don't need to set them right away. They don't crease easily. Of course, I would recommend setting it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this powder on my sponge and pretty much bake under my eyes. Then I'm going to go ahead and blend out any creases on this side. And I did flip my sponge over so there's no powder on this side. Flip my sponge back over. This powder really just leaves the skin so smooth and flawless, and I'm just doing it around my smile lines because sometimes my makeup can tend to crease in that area. Learned that trick from my friend Alina. There we go. So I don't leave the powder on too long right around here. So what I'm going to do next is actually just take a big brush and fluff this powder off. And then with whatever's left in the cap, I'm just going to take it on my sponge and I'm just going to set the rest of my face with my sponge and the loose powder. And I'm going to press in the powder underneath my eye. This is going to ensure that this concealer really is not going to crease or go anywhere. And by doing all of this powder with a sponge, you're really helping the foundation, the concealer, the powder, all of it to melt into the skin, and you're pushing everything together. That way nothing whatsoever looks cakey or heavy. So now I am looking good. I'm looking all matte. I am set. My face, concealer, everything. All thanks to this Collab powder. I'm telling you guys need to try it out. It's just really darn good. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of my face. I will kind of speed through it, but just to let you guys know, I am using my NYX Highlighting and Contouring Pro Palette from NYX. For blush, I'm probably going to be mixing my Burts Bees blush in the color Bare Peach. It looks like this. Such a beautiful peachy color. And so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of my face and then show you guys the end result. Also, a really quick tip is if you don't want to use a sponge to like set your under eye area, or you're not into baking, you just like dusting a little powder under your eyes, a brush that I really like to use for that specific area, especially under my eyes, or even just to set your skin, this is the e.l.f. highlighting brush. It fits perfectly right underneath your eyes. So now that all of my face powder, my highlight, contour, everything is on, I'm going to go back in with my sponge. I take off like any excess powder, but it's really going to push the highlights, the blush, everything into the skin. That way, like I said, everything looks like one. Nothing looks like it's sitting on top of the skin. Obviously, this isn't a natural look because this is a full coverage foundation routine with the whole 9. I feel like since I did use all powders today, a matte foundation, concealer, baked my skin, I feel like by using the sponge pretty much for everything, everything is just going to look so much more seamless and not heavy, not cakey whatsoever. So that has just been a technique that I've been using and I wanted to share with you guys, especially because this sponge just makes it so easy to do this technique because it is just so good. It doesn't absorb or take up any product. This sponge has definitely made a difference in my routine for sure. But everything just looks so good and seamless because, I mean, I use a powder, a matte foundation, and nothing looks heavy or powdery or cakey. Even what you can do too is take your highlighter. So the one I'm using today is by Inglot. It's in the number 2, it's a sparkling dust for face, eyes, and body. And what I've been doing too is just taking my sponge into a little bit of a highlight, making sure that it's like evenly placed on there. And then I'll go back onto my skin and push the highlighter in my nose. Oh, that I'm getting a little carried away now. But I will just push the product into my skin. Like I was saying, I feel like because I'm wearing all full coverage products down to foundation, concealer, it is a matte foundation. I put a matte powder on top of it. I powderize with a matte powder. Everything is matte, but then I added back in my highlights, and I feel like it all comes down to like how you're applying this on your skin. That way it doesn't look heavy or cakey. This is all full coverage things because these are all full coverage products, but it's not going to give you like that full coverage heavy or cakey look. Full coverage does not have to look heavy or cakey, and I feel like all of these products work together so well. And this sponge, honestly, I know I keep going back to it, but it just makes such a big difference by pushing everything into the skin, using the sponge to set the powder. After you're done with blush, contour, highlights, you know, using this to really push everything into the skin just helps it melt and everything just to become one. This is my current and more recent drugstore full coverage foundation routine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and picked up some little tips and tricks or new products that you guys want to try out. If you guys did, please give this video a thumbs up. That way I know that you guys enjoyed this video. I want to see possibly more drugstore videos, and let me know what products in the comments down below are you guys wanting to pick up or try out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys all in my next video next week. Bye guys.